Roses are red, violets are blue. Would you like an idea on how to compliment a poem? I have two. Hello there. Welcome to Presentation Prozac, where you're going to pick up some helpful tips so that you can relax and your audience can feel good. Today we're going to talk about poems. As I mentioned, there are two things you could do if you'd like to compliment a poem. One, simply give us some type of insight to why you wrote the poem, or what inspired you to write the poem, or what inspired you to choose that specific poem that you want to share with your audience. Now the second thing is a little tougher to do, but if you could pull it off. But the second thing is to actually add music to your poem. And the way I do that, I'll usually run through the poem a few times with a stopwatch and just get an idea, the duration, and then I'll go to my iTunes and I'll go ahead and I'll click on time at the top of the page, and then that goes and it lists all my music by duration. And if it's a 3-minute poem, I'm going to look at all the songs that run about 3 minutes. Now the trick here is you don't want any lyrics with the music, okay? That'll just conflict with the message. So now, just to give you an idea how this plays out, I'd just like to share with you a poem that actually I wrote when I was 16 years old. And 16 was a big year for me because, of course, I picked up my driver's license. I had a new car, a 69 Catalina, cost me a whopping $200. I'll share that story another time. But also I picked up a job as a bakery cleanup boy, but it was union, so I was part of the bakers union, so that was cool. But the third big event that happened when I was 16, I actually had to put my dog to sleep. Her name is Strawberry. She's an Irish setter, and I grew up with her. She was actually belonged to my neighbors originally, and I would go over and I'd walk her every day, and I'd take care of her whenever they went out on vacation. And unfortunate for that couple, they split up, and when they moved away, I got to adopt Strawberry and owned her for, gosh, probably close to 8 years. And just, oh well, let me just say this. The day I put her down, I went home and I wrote this. I write this not about a dog, but in memory of a red-haired, four-legged friend, who happened to be the most beautiful Irish setter, in my eyes, there has ever been. She was kind, loyal, and smart, along with a warm and love-filled heart. Every day after work, no matter what be the case, I was greeted by a happy wagging tail and a lick on my face. And as I rubbed her ears and said, "Yes, I miss you too," she proceeded to my feet and she licked the frosting from my shoes. Now she was always there to talk to as I pet her with my hand. And even though she couldn't answer, she seemed to understand. Now her favorite thing to play with were ducks when I let her, because in her eyes these weren't ducks, oh no, but cats with feathers. Well, the hair on her muzzle and her ears began to show some gray. And she developed a serious illness, one that just wouldn't go away. So many trips I had to make to the vet until I received a phone call from the doctor saying that Strawberry was in pain and how he thought I should help her. So my brother, myself, and a dear close friend, we drove off to see her one last time and try and comfort her towards the end. When we arrived at the vet's, we headed in the direction towards this back room, and I remember my legs, they started to shake and my stomach started to move. And just as we approached this door at last, the silence was broken surprisingly fast as the doctor said, "Excuse me, Michael, you need to sign this before you pass." So I turned to the doctor and he gave me a pen. And my hand grew hot as my signature came to an end. And following this, my heart began to pound because I just authorized the lethal injection that would put my dog down. Then he walked us to this room where all the dogs were kept, and he led us to the cage where my Irish setter slept. He said that he was really sorry and that she seemed like she was a really nice pet as he walked out the door, closing it as he left. So I knelt down in front of the cage as Strawberry's eyes grew open wide. And I opened up the door and I hugged her till I cried. And as the tears rolled down my cheeks and they fell onto her fur, I really wished I was the one to die instead of it to be her. And then my brother, he sat down beside me and I stood up to make room for our friend. And they both cried and hugged her till the last goodbye was said. On the way out towards the parking lot, Her cage she began to scratch, along with a soft whimper, but we knew it'd be best not to look back. On the way home, not too much was said, just sniffling up our noses with our eyes still glossy red. Well, now my house is really quiet, because her name we no longer call. I miss the sound of her collar as it used to chime as she came down the hall, but now it hangs in a closet on a nail stuck in the wall. I say I'm okay with that as a lie as I sit in the backyard and stare up at the sky and just think of all the great times we had before she had to die. And then reality finally catches up to me as I say my last goodbye, which leaves me with nothing else to do but put my head on my knee and cry. Miss you, Strawberry. Michael Gould, Presentation Pro. Take care.